Welcome to Identify, the news, views, and insights from within the events industry. I'm delighted again to be joined by Martin Fullard from MASH Media. And I thought this is a great time, Martin, that we could talk about Freedom Day and the return of live events as we know it, but also maybe the impact that this is having on people getting pinged and the track and trace system. So, first of all, Martin, how are you feeling? Freedom Day's been and gone. How do you feel that's gone?
I'm going to be honest and say when I cast my memory back to late February when Boris Johnson first announced his roadmap, I'd always envisaged that 21st of June, which subsequently became the 19th of July day, as a day where there would be champagne and fireworks, which perhaps maybe exposed my naivety, I guess. But of course, we find ourselves now in a situation where Freedom Day sort of feels anything but. And I think, let's be absolutely pragmatic here and keep our feet firmly welded to the floor. There are cases skyrocketing all over the country, and now that's happening in other countries as well. That cannot be ignored. What it also can't be ignored is that the vaccination is clearly working. I mean, yes, there are still hospitalizations and unfortunately there are still fatalities, and that's not our area of expertise, but like everyone else, we can see that that link has been weakened. So really, in that respect, we are going in the right direction. Unfortunately, a lot of people are now again holding back, I guess.
Yeah.
It's another challenge to overcome. There's varying opinions on when we will expect to see the peak of this third or fourth wave. I don't know, I've lost count now. But at the end of the day, we all still have a duty to look forward and plan our events as safely as possible. I know we're going to come on to COVID status certification and things like that, but at the end of the day, I think it was always going to be the case that we'd need to do something to mitigate the risk, because that risk is real.
I'm not sure I've said this before, but you do articulate yourself well in the sense of that's exactly how I thought it would be. I thought Freedom Day would come along and it would be the return of event. Is very much not the case for us. And I mean, it's been great with some pilot events, so the Grand Prix, Goodwood, Festival of Speed, Wimbledon. But I think from a corporate events perspective, I think they're as nervous now as they were 12 months ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? At the end of the day,
and the onus is being put back on us to take that risk.
A brand can be a fragile thing. You know that. It's better than anybody. No one wants to play chance with their company, and certainly no one wants to play chance with their employee safety. Now, we know that a lot of brands are going to be reticent about sending their team all over the place and so on. And really, let's be honest, even when the Freedom Day plan was announced back in February, we were only ever really talking about the domestic market anyway. International travel was always going to follow later on. So really our conversation is in that domestic setting. But brands are going to be reluctant to commit. I think there'll be a few braver ones who maybe go first, I guess. But I do think that when a few do get going and when things do clearly begin to die down, because they will begin to die down again, the cases will reduce, then that will inspire other corporates and other brands to proceed with their live event programs. I'm in no doubt.
So one of the other questions I wanted to ask you was, okay, so you're hosting an event and you've got 1,000 delegates coming there, and we've got this issue with pinging and self-isolating. So we're seeing it now, even across the team, catching the underground, being around people, a lot of people having to self-isolate, testing negative as well. What's your opinion on that with regards to, events being able to run, and have the correct numbers to it because of the risk at the moment of being pinged?
It's an interesting one, this. My expertise very much events industry. I'm not epidemiologist, but it does to me sound like this, the whole pingdemic is the word the tabloids are using. Nice. Surely has to be only a temporary thing. Now they're looking at reviewing this in mid-August. And at the moment, I think as of today, whatever we are, 21st of July, there's 500,000 people off work having to self-isolate. I think this is very much a short-term thing. I don't think we'll be dealing with this sort of caper come the autumn time at all. So it's an interesting one. I don't think it'll impact events too much. And, at the end of the day, the public is its own thing, will make up their own minds. There will be no legal mandate to actually take people's details in the first place. You can argue a different conversation about how that might be reckless, perhaps, or morally ill-judged. I mean, that's very much down to the individual. Individuals attending events are not going to be obliged to sign in. There are other questions about now how the government are thinking about going ahead with mandating double vaccination for what they loosely described as large events from the end of September. And that was a real curveball. At the moment, there's no clear guidance on what they meant by that beyond what we think they meant was ticketed events. So we're talking maybe concerts and sporting events. I've seen somewhere that it would apply maybe to only football stadiums with a capacity of more than 16,000 or a crowd expectation of 16,000. There's so many variables still. I'm not sure the pinging will be a long-term problem. But still, the road ahead and the fact that there's no clear guidance on what people should or can do is deeply frustrating.
No. Interesting. I was listening to something on the radio about how this whole philosophy is one of trust. Yeah, and I think there's so many gaps in it at the moment where you can falsify results and falsify, the test element, and it all being down to trust. It just doesn't feel like the resilience is there. Anyway, we did say earlier that we could talk about this for hours, and we don't have hours. So, Martin, again, thank you so much for joining me and discussing what was going to be the best day ever for the events industry, but maybe isn't as it is. But if you've got any comments, any thoughts about Freedom Day, any thoughts about the pingdemic, then please leave a comment below. Otherwise, have a fantastic week. Thanks, Martin. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.